Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Yes, I am celebrating. Actually, I'm celebrating my birthday 3 times over today. So if you're here for the first time, well, welcome to Zippi Live, my weekly vlog. My name is Zippi Livna. I'm a registered nurse and a certified food addiction counselor. And today is my birthday. Tomorrow is also my birthday. You see, there is a Hebrew calendar, which is a lunar calendar, and there is the English calendar. According to the Hebrew calendar, today is my birthday. I am so happy that my weekly live came out on my birthday. And in the regular calendar, tomorrow is my birthday, January 19th. But there's another birthday, a third birthday that I'm celebrating. Around this time, 25 years ago, I first began my sugar-free journey, and that was when I took the first steps to my own personal freedom from the obsession around sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods and my food addiction, and went into recovery, started my journey of recovery from my food addiction. So today's live is going to be a very personal one, and I would like to talk about what it was like before 25 years ago and about that journey that has really been so long and has given me so much. And the reason why it's very important for me to share my story with you is because if you identify or if you know someone who maybe has a similar story, I have a very important message for you or for them at the end of this vlog, at the end of my life. So 25 years ago, I was 32. I'm celebrating my 57th birthday. I earned every year of it. And I had 3 small children. And this is when I first went into the rooms of a 12-step program for compulsive overeating. This was after many, many years of battling overweight. I had been consistently gaining weight, and it was already to the point where my doctor told me I had to lose weight. I was really creeping towards morbid obesity. I was a nurse. I always say, like, I could teach a dietitian what good nutrition is. I knew exactly what I need to eat. I knew the calories of every single chocolate bar and bag of Doritos that I put in my mouth, and I just couldn't stop eating. And when I went to those rooms, those 12-step rooms 25 years ago, it was when I had finally heard about this and understood that my problem is not control. My problem is not self-discipline. My problem is that I'm addicted to food, the way some people are addicted to alcohol or nicotine or drugs. And when I first went to those rooms, I have to tell you, I sort of felt like I landed on Mars. I don't know if anybody's been to like 12-step meetings, but there's a certain language, a certain custom, a certain atmosphere that for newcomers can be really, really strange. But there was one thing that really made me absolutely certain that I'm coming back, is that I understood that I was sitting in a room of people who completely, on the most basic level, understand what happens to me around these sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods. And they understand me better than my husband, who I was married to already at that time for 12 years. I got married when I was 20. They understand me better than my sisters, my parents. These people knew, as if they were telling my story. And the people there talked about their struggles. They talked about how they had no limits with food, even though they had a lot of self-discipline in other areas of their life. And that's exactly what my story was. I on the outside, I was a very optimistic, like I am today. I can have the gift of gab. I know how to talk. I loved connecting with people. I've always had, a peppy sort of way of doing things. And it also looked like, except for the fact that I was overweight, that everything was fine. I had a good job, I had lovely kids, a wonderful husband who loves me and treats me well, blah, 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 blah. But on the inside, I felt like I was a failure in the one thing that I wanted to succeed at most, and that was to be slim. And that was like to have control over what I eat and to be able to eat just a little and stop this binging and stop this obsessive thinking around food. And that reason why I came back to that 12-step meeting, and I knew that this was a place where maybe finally I would have hope of getting control back over my life. And the truth is, because I was constantly walking around with this feeling like I have this huge hole inside of me and I keep trying to fill it with food and it's not working. And that was when I first began my journey of recovery from food addiction. And thank you, Yona. Yona, my husband, who is here on the live, has been such an amazing part of this journey. And I want to tell you guys something. I did not go cold turkey. Okay. I did what we call like the salami system. Each time I took another thing. First, I stopped eating sugar. Then I stopped eating white flour. And then I stopped eating bread. And like over the years, I developed my own way of eating, which allowed me to consistently lose weight. And I actually had lost, at the time when I joined, when I was 32 years old, I was 15 kilos more than I am now. And over the course of about 10, 11 years, I consistently lost weight and then maintained it. I lost over like about 5 years, 22 kilos, and I maintained it for about 5 years. And then after 10 years happened to me what happens to a lot of people who suffer from the disorder of addiction, or what's called today substance use disorder. And what happened was I went out. I relapsed. I can't put my finger on the exact thing that happened, but somehow other things in my life became a priority more than my recovery. I stopped going to meetings. All of a sudden I got this attitude. I started telling myself this story like I've already heard it, read it, and like, I don't know, something just slipped away. And with that, when it slipped away, what happened was, after many years of not having any sugary treats or junk food, I tasted something sweet with sugar. I think I had I don't remember even what the first thing was. And the sky did not fall in and I did not drop dead. But it was the beginning of a slippery slope that within a few short months, I was eating and binging on these sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods as if I hadn't been in that 12-step program for one day. And it took me quite a while to come to the conclusion that I have to go back to the 12-step program and I need to make my food recovery my number one priority again in my life. And after I came to that conclusion, look how our minds work this way. After I came to that conclusion, and by the way, that was like 10 kilos, I gained back 10 kilos of the 22 that I had lost. And after I came to that conclusion, it still took me 3 more months to like practically crawl on all fours back into the doors of those 12-step meetings. Once I did, though, I was very determined to get back into food recovery and abstain from the foods that I am addicted to, and which is what I did. And I stopped eating sugar. I stopped eating all flour. And I think at the beginning it was just white flour because I hadn't read the science on food at that time. But what happened was I came across some literature that talked about a place in Florida called Milestones in Recovery, which is a center that professionally treats food addiction as well as eating disorders. And when I saw that there are people who are actually professionally treating this addiction, food addiction, and not just people who are who treat drug addiction also treat, because I really do believe that addiction to food needs to be handled differently than addiction to the classic substances like alcohol, drugs, and drugs. And I realized that that's what I want to do, because what happened was 12-step groups, if anyone knows, is basically a peer support group. And the 12-step program is a wonderful spiritual program that saved my life. And I still live within those principles today on my personal level. But I saw a lot of people come into those rooms and not succeed with just with peer support. I saw a lot of people come into the rooms and leave those rooms because they didn't connect to this 12-step spiritual program. And I said there has to be other alternatives, and there has to be people who know how to do this professionally, not just in a peer support um, atmosphere. And that was when I started dreaming that I will be that professional who will help people recover from food addiction. And I started researching. And I actually went specifically to Florida to learn from, to see milestones in recovery. I went to Sweden and met with Bitten Janssen, who has become my mentor. I went to Toronto and met with Vera Tarman and her staff, who were at the time were at Renaissance. And I started being around people who are actually doing this as a career, as a profession. And I started learning on my own. Today, I'm happy to say that this is a field that is developing by leaps and bounds, and there are certified courses that one can take, which I did. And 3 years ago, miraculously, I was able to leave my career in pharmaceutical marketing of like prescription drugs and really start dedicating myself full time to professionally counseling people who want to recover from sugar and food addiction. And on a personal level, what I really want to say is that my recovery from sugar addiction, from food addiction, call it what you want, has actually made me into a different person. I think that if I had not done this journey, I would be, first of all, I would be morbidly obese. Second of all, I would also be so unhappy. I think I would be a really, really unhappy person. And what I feel like is this getting free from the obsession of food actually also freed me to fulfill my full potential in life. It really made me someone else. And I'm going to give you an example. This is an example that I talk about thousands of times. I give this example every single workshop and with every single client that I work with. And it's still sometimes hard for me to talk about it. When I was young and I had a young mother and I had small children, I would sometimes have rage attacks. I would fly off the handle and just absolutely lose control and scream at them like a maniac. And I was a very, in between those rages, I was a very warm and loving mother. So what I hoped was that, the warmth and love and that I gave them and the positivity that I gave them in between these screaming fits would make up for it, for to the damage that I knew that I was doing to them, but I couldn't control. And I really thought that this was something that they would have to learn to live with, and me too, that my mother was like that and whatever. And then I got off sugar. And all of a sudden one day, I realized that it had been months since I had had a rage attack at my kids. Months. And I realized that I have so much more patience for them. As a mother, I enjoy being with them and just not taking care of them. And I really enjoy motherhood in a way that I never had before. And then it really hit me that these sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods change the way I behave. They change my mood. They change the way I feel inside. And I am so much calmer now. I am so much less anxious. I am so much less angry. I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to be that way anymore. And it's really because of the food. The food really changed who I am. And that's why even until today, if I wake up in the morning, with the ickies, I mean, everybody, it happens to everybody, right? You wake up in the morning, there's no special reason for it. You just wake up feeling like crap, right? And having the ickies, you have this really, really bad mood. You wake up in a bad mood. The first thing I ask myself when I wake up like that is, did I eat something yesterday that maybe changed the way I feel? And if the answer is negative, then I go to the emotionals, what happened, what emotions am I going through, and blah, 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 and all that, inner talk That is a really great thing to do. But I know that I am so sensitive to food and how it changes who I am. And because today I abstain completely from those foods that change the way I feel, my life is just it's free. I'm free. It's not perfect. Far from it. My eating is not perfect. I am not perfect. I have bad days. I sometimes do stupid stuff. I make mistakes. But the way I handle my life today, the way I deal with that imperfection, the way that I experience my inner experience of my life has just changed 180 degrees. I don't suffer the way I used to anymore. I feel like my recovery from food addiction has actually brought out the real Zippi and has actually enabled me to live a so much fuller and happier life. So that's why. And you know what? Sometimes there's that like really tasty, whatever it is, and I do feel like having it. But then I remember that my life tastes, the freedom that I have today tastes so much better than any cake or ice cream or a new flavor of whatever it is that's coming out. That this freedom that I have today just is, I have no words to explain it. And it is I feel like I have been blessed that I now have the knowledge and ability to help people get to that same place. So my birthday present to you is a present of hope. If you are listening to the story, whether you're now on the live or you're listening to the recording on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my YouTube channel, and you are someone who feels like you have been in a battle with food or dieting or weight, or you know what you're supposed to do and you just can't seem to apply it and it's causing you suffering, I want to tell you that there is hope. If you feel like you eat the way other people, you eat in an addictive way, if you're addicted to certain foods, I can tell you that there is hope of recovery and you can get free of this battle. And the most important thing to do, and this is what I'm telling you, I'm not special. The only thing I did was I didn't quit. Even when I went out for a year and relapsed, I did not quit. And I was consistent. And I gave it a priority in my life. That's the only thing. I'm not special. And anybody who can commit will get there. So that's my birthday present to you. That's my present of hope. And if you know of someone who you know that they are struggling, please share this video with them. Let them know, even if you've tried 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, it doesn't matter. Try again, because at the end you will find that person or program or group that will connect with you on a soul level, and you will find that recovery, because that recovery is out there for anyone who is looking for it and who is willing to really just not give up until they find it. So that is my message for you, really. And Suzette, you are so welcome for this. Please, anyone and everyone, pass this message along. There is hope for everyone. Happy birthday to me, and may we all celebrate food freedom. Bye-bye.